Hey, hi, hello, friendos! So, it's been ages, I know, since I've done like a real proper vlog. But I'm gonna do an advice vlog today, and a couple days ago I wrote on my fan Instagram if anyone had any questions about high school, because as a junior in college, I've been through high school, I made it out alive, and I wanted to impart some advice if I could. Now, keep in mind that this is dubious advice, I guess, because I'm not a professional, I'm just a person. But I know that like high school, especially your like first couple of years of high school, can be like kind of a tough time to go through and to like navigate, and I wanted to try and help out with that. You guys were awesome and gave me tons of questions, so I'm probably gonna do more than one video on this. But welcome to the first video of high school advice. So the first question that I'm gonna do is from an anonymous person who asked me on my, I don't know how to pronounce it, I call it Sarahara, but it's like this app that like people can send you anonymous questions or feedback or critiques or whatever, and I really like it, and I know some people are shy about like messaging people or like asking questions publicly, so I told people that if they wanted to ask me something anonymously, they could. So this is from an anonymous person, and they just said, how do I prepare for high school? And I figured this would be a good one to start off with, because if you're an 8th grader, or I know high school is kind of different in other countries, so, you know, like right before you go into like secondary school in like other countries, like you're around like 14, 15-ish, I think. And you're about to go into like high school, and they say how to prepare. And I mean, I guess like going to high school for the first time can be super intimidating. Usually secondary school, high schools are bigger than elementary school and middle schools. And that's super intimidating, and honestly that happens your whole life, like from going from elementary school to middle school, and middle school to high school, and high school to college. Like there's always going to be that like element of the unknown that you don't know what to expect. But the good thing about it is that you're not alone in going through it. Lots of people are doing the exact same thing as you, all the people in your year, and everybody's nervous even if they pretend not to be. And I would say, as far as preparing for that, like try to focus on the exciting parts, like new teachers, new classes, like you're going to be learning new stuff that you have never learned before that's like more advanced and all of that kind of stuff, and you have an opportunity to make new friends and like join extracurricular activities. That's one of the best things I think about high school, is there are so many opportunities to join clubs and to get involved and to volunteer, and like some high schools have football games and like sports games, and those are really fun to go to. So focus on like that kind of stuff. And as far as like preparing, just know that like, yes, high school is going to be harder than the classes that you've had previously. But from my experience, most of your teachers, especially when you're taking really hard classes, are super, super willing to help you out. And know that you're not alone in going through this. Like everyone is nervous about beginning high school, and everyone is going to be a little bit surprised at how different the workload is and that kind of stuff. Okay, so the next question, I'm starting off with some kind of like overarching ones and kind of funny ones, I guess, at the beginning of this, before I launch into the like homework and bullies and all of that kind of stuff. So I got a question from kitdecat_bitch. And they said, why do I have to go to school? And honestly, I know how you feel. Like sometimes you wake up, especially back in like high school and stuff, you have to get up early, and it can be really hard to like even want to go to school. But I try to focus on the fact that I'm extremely blessed and extremely lucky that I have the opportunity to go to school, and I know that so many other kids don't get that chance in the world, and we're really lucky to live in places that we have education. And even though it might seem impossible to like go, and it might be annoying, and your school is hard and people are mean, but like look at it as an opportunity to learn a lot that will prepare you for the rest of the world. Because school is really cool when you think about it, when you think about the opportunity to like learn as much as we can. when we're young, you know, and like that prepares you for the future, and that's so, so important. Then I got one from Gaming Cookie 24/7, and they said, how do you survive? And you don't. No, I'm kidding. So I know, I get it. It's like I said before, it can be hard and it can be really disheartening. Like, it's 4 years, and that might seem like the longest time in the world right now, but it's not. It's short, and it goes by so fast. And then you're out in the real world, and you're in college, and or you have a job, and you're forced to be an adult and to take responsibility for everything about yourself. And right now in high school, everything might seem really hard. It might seem hard to survive, but like, you can do it and you can get through it, because that amount of time that you're dealing with all of that is so small compared to like the rest of the time when you're out in the real world being an adult, and you don't have to deal with bullies and mean friends. And really, I mean, in college, classes are still going to be hard, but like in college you're doing classes because it's like something that you're really interested in, so like that makes it easier to deal with the hard stuff. But I promise you that you can get through it, and I promise you that like those 4 years will seem so small once you've graduated and left it all behind. So you survive, and you're gonna be awesome. Okay, so on that note, which got a little bit more serious than I was intending to jump into at the beginning, we're gonna move on to questions mainly about like homework and balancing like that aspect. And then probably in my next video, I'll do friends and dealing with bullies. But for this one, we're gonna jump into homework stuff. So the first question about homework I got was, what do you do when you can't focus on getting your homework done, or you get frustrated from not understanding it? And that was from Uncertainly Timid Photography. As far as not focusing, I feel the best way to do it is like right when you come home from school, because you're still kind of in that mindset of like learning and like doing things. I always used to come home from school, get a snack, and take like 30 minutes to like eat a snack and like decompress, and then go somewhere where I was like really good at focusing, like either at my desk or at the kitchen table. And I would just try to put in as much time as I could on my homework. Now of course there's like exceptions to like that like hard focus, like just get it done so you can do the fun stuff after. Like if it's like finals week and you're like super stressed, like obviously give yourself enough time where you're not super overwhelmed with things, so you're in the right mindset to focus on your homework. Because you're never gonna be able to focus if you're like worried about other things. So like if you're literally sitting down at your homework, and like there's a difference between not focusing because like you don't want to do it and it's like homework because obviously you'd rather be doing other things, and not being able to focus because you're like stressed or anxious about other stuff. So in my experience, like when you're stressed or anxious about other stuff, you have to give yourself like a good amount of time to like let your brain decompress. So either like lay on your bed and put in headphones and like listen to music, or like watch a TV show for like 30 minutes to an hour to like decompress from like school, so you're not so stressed, and then you can accomplish everything. But if you just like don't focus because you don't want to do homework, like it's best to just get it done and get it over with, so then you can have fun. And the second part of that question was if you get frustrated from not understanding it. And in my experience, usually the homework that I didn't understand was for math classes. And when I was in high school, I was in AP classes, and I was in upper level math classes. And a lot of my teachers had study groups in like before school. So like our school started at 8:45 a.m. and like they would have study hall open at 8. I would get to school at 8 almost every day, and I would go to study hall and I would have my math teacher help me with my math homework. And in my experience, like that's the best thing that you can do, because obviously your teachers know what they're talking about. They know how to help you. And there's no sense in just sitting in front of your homework and struggling through it if you don't get it. There are also a lot of resources online for helping with homework. I would say don't rely on those, because you're not really, like rely on the ones that like teach you, like Khan Academy and stuff like that, that'll teach you how to do things. But don't like rely on like things that'll just give you the answer, because then you're not learning, and when the test comes, like you won't get it and it'll be awful. Either after school or before school, like set some time aside to like talk to your teacher and be like, hey, I really don't understand this, can you help me? Do that. The next one's from Color Bandits, and they said, it's been so tough being consistent about studying, especially during breaks, because I really want to just relax the whole time, and that would mean I would forget about what I learned. How does a mind with the attention of a spoon stay consistent? So as far as consistency about studying, I would say pick the days of the week that are like best for you, because studying is different from doing homework. Like homework, especially in high school, you have homework every night and you have to sit down and do that homework. But as far as studying for like upcoming tests and stuff like that, I would say like pick like Saturday or Sunday, or like a day during the week where you don't have anything after school, and like make that your study day. And that way like you can just sit down from like a certain period of time. And I like doing the 45-15 rule, where you study for 45 minutes and then take a 15-minute break. And that's like super, super helpful, especially if you have like a big chunk of something to study for. Like say it's AP exams or IB exams or like whatever you're taking. If you have like a bunch of stuff to study for, or like prepping for the ACT and SAT, if you like sit down and give yourself like a couple of hours, maybe more, and you do 45-15, where you're studying for 45 minutes and then taking a break for 15 minutes, that's like a really good way to get stuff done. Because then your brain is focused on focusing on the studying stuff for 45 minutes, but your brain also knows that in 45 minutes you'll get a 15-minute break, and you can take a snack, you can watch a YouTube video. It's like perfect. That's the best way to get stuff done. So the next two question was pretty similar. Panic at the Dish Soap and Shauna Plier X asked, how do you balance homework and social life / what's the routine for balancing homework and a social life? The short answer of this is, you'll always see that meme. I don't even know if it's a meme, but you'll see that like post where it's like, pick two. You either get sleep, homework, or a social life. And like, that's the thing about, Cats1755 also asked, homework plus studying plus sleep, question mark? Like, how do you balance all of that? And this was hardest in, high school for me to balance, especially like junior year when you're studying for SAT and ACT, AP exams, trying to figure out what college you want to go to, doing all your homework, trying to have friends, trying to be involved in extracurricular, and trying to get sleep. And there were times where I would get like 4 to 5 hours of sleep a night, and like that is not enough. So in my opinion, and like there are people that'll just disagree with me, but I I figured out sometime in high school to start putting my mental health and physical health above grades and friends, because I think that that's more important. Like it's more important for me to like be sane and be alive than school. So I would say to put sleep first. If you have something that you're sacrificing sleep for, except for in certain cases, I would always say to get sleep, because your brain is just not gonna work at all if you're not sleeping enough. So like make sure you're getting like ideally 8 hours of sleep a night, but like I would say at least 5 because you won't do well if you're lacking sleep. So I would say put sleep first, then school, then friends. And the more important thing I would say, and the kind of cool thing about high school, is if you get involved extracurricularly, that looks really good for college. And that's also a really good way to meet friends, which I'll talk about in the friends video. So that's a good way to socialize and still be doing stuff that will look good for college, so it's still kind of academic. But I would honestly say that, like I said before when I was talking about homework, like set aside times in your day where you're working on homework and just homework. You put away your phone, you put away your computer, you focus on homework, and then save like weekends for hanging out with your friends. The fact of the matter is, if you don't get enough sleep, you're not going to do well on your tests the next day, you're not going to be able to focus in class, you're not going to do well on your homework the next night because you didn't give your brain that time to rest. Sleep also helps you remember things better when you're studying, which is why they always say to study an hour before you go to sleep and an hour after you wake up, because your brain has just had sleep and it had time to process everything that you're remembering. And it's hard to figure out that balance, and it's different for everyone, but it's one of the best things that you can do to like get through high school. Okay, so this next one's from Giggly Sean, and they said no motivation for homework plus like extracurricular activities. They said violin, but everyone has something different. As far as motivation for homework, like the best motivation is like thinking about your future, I think, in my opinion, especially when you're just like super discouraged. To think about like what you want to do, even if you don't know. Think about like your dream job or whatever, and use that to motivate you to think that like doing this homework, getting through high school is an ends to my goal of one day doing this thing. Like for me, my goal is to one day work for a media company, and me doing my journalism coursework and me working on outside things that'll go on my resume, like that's all gonna get me to like my goal of the future, right? And it's really important to like think of it that way, because no one wants to do things that they don't like. No one wants to like do math classes if you hate math. No one wants to read books if you hate reading. But like, if you think about that and then you think that one day you'll be doing that thing that you love, and that will all have been worth it. When you feel really discouraged, it's really easy to like get complacent about it and be like, ugh, like I really don't want to do this. Like I don't really see where it's gonna get me. But if you look towards your future goals or even short-term goals and realize that like all of these things are gonna build up to get you something greater, there's no greater motivator than that. Okay, so I kind of talked about this at the beginning with homework that you don't understand, but this is another question that was similar to that. And they said, how do you do homework when you don't understand? Do you actually ask your teachers, or do you just wait in the mornings and copy it from someone else? And that's from Septic Trash, except for the E's and the A are X's. And my strategy for that was always to do as many of the problems that I could do, that I knew how to do, and then the next morning, like I said, go and ask my teachers for help. Because copying it isn't gonna get you anywhere. Like, if you really, really have to copy something, you can, like once or twice, but do not let yourself get in the habit of copying things from other people, because you will not be prepared for your tests. Tests in high school are hard. You have to know the material or you won't do well. So I would say definitely, especially if your teachers are offering you help, take them up on that offer. Like, they're so helpful, and most of them are so nice and so willing to just literally sit next to you and help you work through problems. Okay, so another one of the anonymous questions was presentations and hating being in front of class. And I like shortened these because I didn't want to write them all out, so if that's not your specific question, sorry. But they were like, how do you give presentations if you hate being in front of the class? And that's another thing kind of about high school that you kind of have to deal with. I was lucky in college. I just recently took a public speaking class, and that's really helped me being in front of like crowds and stuff like that. But in high school, I was totally on the same page. Like, I did not like presentations. One thing that's good about high school is a lot of my presentations were with a group, and then you can take turns like reading things for your presentation. And that's really helpful to be up there with other people, so you're not like super alone. But if you do have to be alone, just know that like almost everyone in there is also nervous about giving presentations. And there may be people, of course, that are like amazing public speakers and they're great at giving presentations, but there are an equal amount of people who are just as nervous and just as scared of being in front of the class as you. And it's just something that like you kind of have to deal with, and there's a lot of things that you can look up online that will help you deal with like anxiety about being in front of people and speaking in front of crowds. And I would definitely say to read some of those things, because some of those things really helped me, especially in my public speaking class. So do a little bit of research and see if that will help you out. The internet's amazing, guys. And then as far as like actually doing it though, like just make sure you know what you're talking about. If you're allowed to have cards, if you're allowed to look at your PowerPoint or whatever, like it really helps you to feel less scared when you like know what you're going to talk about. So I would make sure to like kind of like practice if you have to, or if you can. And then always remember that like you're not alone, and like so many people feel nervous like you, and your teachers for the most part will be understanding about you feeling nervous about it. But it is something that you're gonna have to deal with at some point or another. So like, I believe in you, you can do this. Just take deep breaths. Focus on breathing, because when you get anxious, your heart rate goes up and then you breathe kind of weird. So like, if like right before it's your turn to go up, if you just take a couple of really, really deep breaths and then go up there, like plant your feet, and like, maybe if you're afraid of like looking at people, don't look down, but pick something in the back of the room to stare at, like not a person, but like a poster or just like a spot on the wall. So it looks like you're looking out at everybody, but you're really not having to make eye contact with anyone. That's super, super helpful for like giving presentations. But good luck, I believe in you, you can do this. And the last question I'm gonna leave off with is from GSE_YouTube_trash. This is kind of a long one, but they said, I'm in my second year of high school and I'm starting a medical program, but I'm not so sure that I want to go that route anymore. All of the teachers seem to be forcing us to make a decision on what career we want, and it's stressing me out beyond belief. I just don't know what I want to do anymore. I just want to make it through high school and enjoy life, but being pressured to make such an important decision is making it difficult. What should I do? Okay, so this one's gonna be a little bit long-winded, but bear with me. If you're in this class right now, what is it a class? A medical program. First of all, I would say, don't at all feel pressure in high school to know what you want to do. Because you don't have to know what you want to do in high school at all. Like, the track that I was on in high school, like I didn't join any programs. Like, I wasn't in the culinary program or the medical program or like the marketing program or like anything like that. But back when I was in high school, I thought that I also wanted to go into medicine. So I was like super interested in biology, and I took really hard math classes and all that kind of stuff. And like, my mindset, I was preparing for some sort of science related field. And yeah, I feel you. You can definitely get that pressure of like, I need to know what I want right now. But you absolutely don't, even if that's what your teachers are telling you. So as far as like where you are right now, I would like, especially if you're super interested in it, like if you're interested in medicine, if you're interested in science and all of that kind of stuff, I would stay in the program that you're in, just so you can learn as much as you can about that. And then maybe at the end of the year, decide whether or not that's something that you want to keep doing. And if it's not, do not feel bad about changing course, because that is 100% fine. I have a friend here who's changed her major like 4 times. I've changed my major. Nobody even knows what they want to do in college. So do not feel bad about not knowing what you want to do right now. Please, like you said, you want to make through high school and enjoy life, do that. Try different things. You do not need to know what you want right now. But as far as like where you are right now, if you really are passionate about that, I would say explore it as much as you can. And then, of course, if you realize that it's really not something that you're interested in, do not be afraid of changing, because you totally can, and you don't have to make a decision right now, by any means. And with that note, I'm gonna end this one. Like I said, this one's mainly about, you know, like just general high school stress and that kind of stuff. Balancing homework, studying, friends, balancing sleep, balancing figuring out what you want to do, all of that kind of stuff. And I'm gonna do another one because I only did like maybe half of the questions. But of course, thank you guys so much for all of your questions. If you have any more questions, or if you want to clarify anything that I said in this video, do not be afraid to leave comments. I read them all. I'll try to respond to them if there are any questions. Again, do not take everything that I say like word for word verbatim. I am just a person. I'm not an expert. I'm just someone who's also been through high school. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!